Igor, how you doing, friend?
Good. How are you, Tim?
Good. It's, I know we've been touching base on some other stuff recently, stocks and all that, but I know we talked about some of your real estate deals. I'm trying to remember back. I think we were in Texas. We did your mentorship. Um, yeah, tell me about your first deal. I guess that's what I want to ask you.
Yeah, sure. So after you came out for the mentorship part for the 3 days, I've immediately took action and started looking for my first deal. My first deal was it was a four-bedroom, two-bathroom house. I'm trying to remember. It was 8 years ago, but
Yeah, it's been a
I
while. Yeah.
remember it very clear. It was a four-bedroom, two-bathroom house in Austin, Texas, and I acquired it for $150,000. At that time, the prices were very different than what they are now.
Yep.
And I put in about $60,000 worth of work and sold it for $330,000 after it was fixed up. After all the expenses and everything, I made about $45,000 net. So I literally what I paid for my education, I've got back with my first
Your
deal
first deal. Yeah.
and some plus.
Yeah.
So that was very happy in my first deal.
That's the goal. I know a lot of people
Yes.
have several deals before they make that much money, but they go through trial and error. Sometimes, making mistakes and jumping the gun, ready, fire, aim kind of attitude. But your background, you're more analytical. I think you're a little smarter than some of the people I've worked with before.
Yeah,
To
thank
put
you.
it bluntly, so give you credit for that. What would you say is your best deal that you've done so far? Anything
Oh,
that
I
comes to
can talk
mind?
about that. So the best deal I made $550,000.
550.
So
Okay.
that was in the course of 2 years. So
Okay.
I bought the deal under owner financing. So owner financing is a great way to acquire property. And every time I try to acquire property, I look to see if the owner is interested in owner financing.
Yep.
So I found this deal in Lakeway, Texas. It was an older gentleman that was looking to retire. However, he didn't need a cash, so he was interested in more in a cash flow, like renting his house. So he had it listed for rent, but I approached him and kind of tried to find his story, and that's how I found out he's looking to retire.
Yep.
So I gave him a couple of options. I said I could buy the house cash, right? With hard money is what I use primarily, and then the second option I gave him is he can carry the note, and I would give him a down payment of I think it was $65,000. It
Mhm.
was 4 years ago, so I
Yeah.
can't remember the exact details, but it was about $65,000 cash that I offered, and then the rest he would carry the note. So that it was like a 90% deal, whatever. But it was a really good option for him because he was getting cash flow, and in my option for owner financing, I said I'm going to pay you within 1 year. So I did a 1 year balloon payment on that structure for owner financing, and he accepted by my surprise.
Yeah.
So when he accepted, I took on the deal, and then the house needed about $150,000 worth of work, so not a lot of work. But at the same time that I acquired this property, the prices were skyrocketing, so they were going higher and higher and higher. At the time I acquired it, ARV was about 850,000. So it wasn't like that skinny of a deal. I was still gonna make like 50 something $1,000 after all expenses after I fixed it up. But which what I did is I actually rented the property for a year, and I was making cash flow about $400. He allowed me to basically sublease it. So after the 1 year balloon payment happened, I he was so happy that he was getting cash flow. I extended it for another year at that point.
Good.
So um, 2 years passed by. I was renting the property for a year, and then that second year I rehabbed the property because I never rehabbed it the first time, right? So I rehabbed the second time, the second year, I should say, and I did an appraisal after it, and I got it appraised for $1.3 million.
Nice.
So I put it up on the market. I had 15 offers in 24 hours, and yeah, so the house sold pretty quickly, obviously, and I was very happy with the return of that property. So that was my best deal. It
Nice.
was a home run. I am working on a new project, new build construction right now, which I think will surpass that down the road, but we'll see.
Cool. And that one's in Colorado. I think you said you moved your office to.
Yes, the new construction is in Colorado, but the Lakeway deal was yeah in Texas.
Okay. So you moved your real estate office to Colorado?
Yes, I moved my real estate office in Colorado, and I've also moved my general contracting business in Colorado.
Okay. You started that after you started doing deals. It wasn't something you did before.
Yes, so
Yeah.
yes, exactly. The general contracting business I started as I was progressing through deals. About my 10th I think it was like 2.5 years into the real estate journey that it was about my 10th deal that I realized like, hey, how do I make more money, right? So one way is to become a real estate agent, keep
Yeah.
additional percentage when you sell the house or buy the house, whatever, you
Yeah.
get some extra leverage there. But another way I found out is that, when I hired contractors, a lot of them were subcontracted by, the general
Yeah.
contractor. I didn't even know they were general contractors at some point. So I figured, hey, why don't I be the general contractor, pay myself a fee? So
Yeah.
um, at the same time, you meet other real estate investors that need work and things of that nature. So I can keep my guys busy, their projects
Yeah.
as well if I don't have a project at the moment. So that kind of, I look at it as like a more of a bigger operation than just investing. So investing was one part of it, and then the contracting was another part, and that helped me tremendously also acquire other properties across other states.
Cool. So how many states have you done real estate investment
So I've done real estate in Michigan, Texas, Colorado, and Hawaii.
in? Nice.
Hawaii was the coolest. It
So what
was
do you do
yeah
out there?
that was a recent deal I did. It was 3 years ago. I acquired a condo on the Big Island,
Yeah.
Kona side
Yeah.
of Hawaii, and I acquired it from these two people that were they had it listed very high, so it was sitting on the market for like 150 days, and their pricing made no sense. I don't know why some agents they just list whatever the sellers say,
Yeah.
and that's what target. I've never bought actually property off market. I only bought one, so I wouldn't say never, but I've bought only one property off market. Everything has been off the MLS, so there's plenty of deals in the MLS if you know how to look.
Yeah.
You know, but because I hear a lot of investors, oh, the MLS is, you can't find a deal. Well, there's plenty of all my deals, 33 deals have been on the MLS.
Yeah.
So the Hawaii deal, I bought it for 475. I put in $35,000 into it, and in the last course of the 3 years that I had it, and I've also rented it on short term as a short term rental. So during that 3 years, I've made money from the short term rental side, and then I sold it for 675 this past December.
Nice.
So I've made, multiple ways, different, I made money in different ways, I should say.
Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah. And
Oh,
it's funny how you, uh, most people
that's
don't
how I look at
anticipate.
every deal is like, how many different ways can I make money on it
Yeah.
versus just like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Some people just think, oh, it's only flipping or it's only renting or it's only this, or you can combine several of them and make even more money. Cool. Well, it's good to
right.
hear about your success, brother. I'm
Yeah,
happy.
yeah. That's
I'm
what I
proud
did
of
the
you too,
first deal.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I kept that first deal that you asked me about because that first property now it's worth 575 and I sold it for 330. So
Yeah.
sometimes I wish I kept all these properties. So the way I'm acquiring these properties now is I'm trying to find them mid-construction, someone that has basically like stalled their project stalled because of financing reasons or whatever, and I'm trying to get a deal that way on those. So I don't build it from scratch. It's already like half built pretty much.
Yeah.
And my goal is to cash out refinance at the end. So whatever I put in cash, I take out, and then I'm trying to keep them. So I'm doing it in strategic places. I'm not just, doing it because, someone stalled the project in an area. It has to make sense. The area has to make sense. It has to um, make sense from different aspects, like the long-term rent can support the mortgage, right? And then the short-term rental, is it a touristy area? So that's like, I have a couple boxes to check off as part of my criteria. And another one is it in a area where it's growing, right? Has it been growing in the last 20 years, 30 years? Is it going to grow in the next, 20, 30 years? What are the economic development factors? So that's something I look at when I invest in an area. Economic development is huge because you want to know what's driving the prices up in that area, right? It's not just, the nature of the mountains, for example, or, the ocean in Hawaii. So
Yeah. Well, it's amazing what you learn when you get outside of what you don't know what you don't know, until you get involved
right.
in something, and then when you get involved, all of a sudden everything you become aware of all the other things, the components of the business. So it's worked really well for you.
It's good. No, that's, I have a lot to share, but I think there'll be hours of
Yeah.
interviews.
Yeah.
I've only mentioned like the good things that I've encountered along the way, and some of the bad things are you kind of learn, right, like from contractors of that are trying to take money from you, that they don't do the work sometimes, and they're late, they work on their schedule. So there's a lot of like those kind of things that I didn't talk about, but if I had to talk about, I mean, those are something that you have to watch out for. And the number one thing is always have a contract.
Mm.
And if they give you a contract and you don't like it, change it, because it's not up to them. You're the person in charge. It's your project. It's not
Yeah.
their project. You're hiring them. So